Jimmy, this sounds kind of crazy, but I snuck an instrument into the movie theater, and I've got it
No
right here at
way.
the popcorn counter. Yeah.
Well, what did you bring? What did you bring?
Well, you've got to guess. I think it'd be best if you guessed, because you can't see it, because we're actually not at the same popcorn counter. You're like 4,000 miles away from me.
Miles away. I'm all ears. It's a trombone, is that right?
Incorrect.
Oh. It's not a banjo, is it?
I like this one because it sounds a little banjo-y.
It's a ukulele.
Oh, God, the people at the counter are asking me to stop playing with their eyes. Looks and glances say, that's not okay.
I think it's only because of music licensing, isn't it? I think.
Precisely.
Surely, really, they should be paying you for playing. It is a ukulele, isn't it?
It is ukulele, yeah.
It is a ukulele.
And it could be our intro music. I noticed in the Jazz Singer, which we talked about recently, that there was intro music and exit music.
Yeah, there was. But there used to be a thing, wasn't it? Because I remember seeing the same for Lawrence of Arabia, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I think it's the same for 2001 when we went to see like a proper 65mm print re-release of 2001.
Yeah, very
a few years
classic.
ago.
Yeah,
and there was like intro, there was like an overture.
Yeah, and interval music sometimes. You'd have a break to go to the bathroom and get the Goober peas and all that, and then you'd have some music.
I think they do that in Gandhi, I think, don't they?
Yeah.
Interval music. So it was a thing.
But Jazz Singer, of course, is a musical film, and it has music to bring it in and bring it out, and music throughout.
Well, I was going to ask you about whether you feel that that music is like concert movies. Do they really work? Is that like a proper music film? Do you ever go and see if you've seen many music films? Is that sort of thing that you would ring your bell?
I thought you'd never ask.
And did you bring your own ukulele when you went?
Absolutely not. No.
I can remember going to a few years ago now. People going to like clubs and bringing along like bongos.
Oh, really? Oh.
Like bring their own drums to clubs and they kind of sit in the corner and play along to the records. That's not a thing that people do anymore. I'm sure that'd be ridiculous going home on the bus with your own bongos. But music, do you think it works on screen?
Sometimes, for sure. Like I'll mention a couple of titles that really work, and I've also got one that absolutely did not work. But you know who's pretty good at this is Martin Scorsese, who
right,
I think he had a hand in Woodstock as well. But and I think he did a documentary on Woodstock. The Last Waltz, which is the final concert of the band, and it features lots of guests.
Okay,
fantastic. I love that film. So I think it definitely works there, and it's.
I've never seen that. It's supposed to be one of the top concert movies of all time, isn't it?
It's worth it. It holds up. There all sorts of guests stop by: Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, Van Morrison, Neil Diamond, who we talked about recently. So, and it's just well shot. He's got lots of cameras there, and it's all around. I think the urgency is the fact that this is their last concert before they're going to break up, and it's a live performance. But they cut in some interviews and some recorded performances as well. I thought that one worked really well. I don't know if you've ever seen "Gimme Shelter" by the Rollings. It's a Rolling Stones film when they had in response to Woodstock, they had a concert at a speedway called Altamont in California, and that's a really good film for the wrong reasons, I think. But
there's like a bunch of Rolling Stone live movies, aren't there?
Yeah,
I think it's not the only one.
No, but I think that one's a Maysles Brothers film, so it's very documentary and fly on the wall kind of stuff, and then just the story of Altamont, which sort of degenerates into this violence, and the Stones are kind of just helpless, and they're not really protected very well at the venue, and they've hired the Hells Angels to do security for them. It's just a disaster, and it just makes it a very interesting film.
What a great plot and a setup!
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't write it any better than that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that one works as well. And then one that really struck me as a kid was a Pink Floyd film. I think it's called Live at Pompeii. But that's what happens.
Okay.
They're in the amphitheater at Pompeii, and I was obsessed with Pompeii as a kid. And I was just getting into Pink Floyd around the same time, like 10, 11, 12 years old. And I saw it in a theater. We had this one theater in my hometown where they would show concert films, Yellow Submarine, Hard Day's Night, things like that. But they showed it, and it was it was like a dream come true. It's just like I loved the music. I loved the fact that they're in Pompeii, and then you get some shots of the amphitheater in the area, and it's just cool. So those are 3 concert films that I definitely think work.
See, my experience with these concert movies is all kind of rooted in the 80s rather than the 70s.
Yeah.
The first time I can like really positively remember seeing a concert film, and I hope this counts, is Purple Rain.
Absolutely, yes.
When I was growing up, so I grew up in Nottingham, which is in the East Midlands in the UK. It's about imagine the map of the UK and put a dot like the furthest you can possibly get from the sea. That's where I grew up. Like in the mid 80s, they built the Royal Concert Hall in Nottingham, which is like the most 80s building you could imagine. It's had like kind of glowing neon sculptures and sort of this brushed chrome everywhere and kind of weird curving shapes. I mean, for a provincial town, it's quite ambitious architecturally. But they built the Royal Concert Hall like in the 80s when I was like a teenager. And there weren't enough touring bands for them to fill the concert hall every night. So the way that they would offset the enormous cost of building this concert hall was that they would show movies on the off nights. And I went to see Purple Rain at the Royal Concert Hall. And the projectionist must have been a big fan of Prince, because I remember my ears ringing as I came out from the film. It was so loud. They played it and watching it in a concert hall at what felt like almost concert hall volumes really felt like I'd been to a proper Prince gig. Yeah. Purple Rain it's a strange kind of amalgam of some fantastic, amazing live footage when Prince was absolutely at his height, and then combined with some absolutely terrible plot scenes which which kind of sort of go nowhere and are poorly acted and are kind of really clunky. A lot of them shot like in one take as well. I think it's all just kind of put the camera down, get the actors get them to sort of quickly do the plot bits, and then we can get back to the concert footage. The actual concert footage, just so fantastic. Yeah. And the album I bought at the same time after seeing the film, and played the album to death over that summer. In must have been 84.
I think it was
84. When was Purple Rain thing? When it came out in the States. And absolutely kind of wore that album out. That really made me want to seek out more concert films. But back in the 80s, there weren't a great many of them. They tried to do it again with Prince with Sign of the Times,
which I saw last summer in an outdoor theater.
Did you? Yeah. Now I remember going to see that when it first came out, which must have been 88 or something like that, 89, and being distinctly underwhelmed. And it's not nearly as exciting a performance, I thought, as the performance they captured for Purple Rain.
Yeah, I didn't like it much, and there is kind of some story pasted into that one, but it's definitely more concert footage. But it's ironically not nearly as strong as Purple Rain, though.
I think they just captured lightning in a bottle. Yeah. The other 80s, quintessential 80s band with an 80s concert film, which really is something else, is Stop Making Sense. Have you seen that?
Yes, good choice. Yeah, I saw that last summer outside too. Interesting. Yeah. Love it. Love the Talking Heads. Love that film. Saw it when it came out. I was in high school, and still love it.
We were on holiday in Spain a couple of years ago, and we watched some of Stop Making Sense in the hotel room on like a hot, lazy afternoon when we couldn't quite have the energy to get out and do anything. It's such an exciting performance. It's just fantastic. And it feels really quite loose and feels very live. It doesn't feel kind of slick and overdubbed. You really feel like you're there.
Yep. And I think it does work well as sort of documentary and concert film somehow. And they're not trying to mix in any plot, really. There's the tension of the growing band and all of that, and then the Tom Tom Club coming out and doing their song without David Byrne. But yeah, that's a film that definitely works.
The best concert film should just feel like you went to a gig. And it's very difficult to reproduce that, isn't it?
I'll mention in passing, this is just a tongue-in-cheek, but Spinal Tap, same era. Love that film. And then we just talked about Elvis recently, and I think we both agreed that some of the musical moments were the best thing in that film. And I was reminded, in part because I heard Jeff Bridges talking on a podcast, and he mentions this film by, it's really a Bob Dylan film called Masked and Anonymous. And Dylan wrote it with some pseudonym, some Russian pseudonym. It's a terrible, terrible film. The story is terrible, but it's early 2000s, and he's got this great band, and it's all kind of a setup for them, like doing sound checks and practicing for this gig. That is it going to happen or is it not going to happen? But they, like the Elvis, there's about 5 or 6 scenes where it's really just Dylan and his band, just at top form, playing a couple songs, and it doesn't justify making a rubbish film, but it's a good experience because you do, as you said before, just seeing a good performance, you almost feel like, okay, I didn't see a concert, but I saw these guys preparing for a concert, and it felt authentic, and it was great. But don't go see it.
just see those edited 6 songs.
Yeah.
It's I think the concert film is making a comeback, isn't it? There is a few of them littered over Netflix. There's a Justin Timberlake filmed concert, which apparently is supposed to be very good. I haven't seen it. There's a couple of ones from Taylor Swift as well.
Oh wow!
So it does feel like it's something that's kind of making a bit of a comeback.
Yeah.
You know, and there was a Katy Perry one, wasn't there, a few years ago, which toured. I know that was that got like a proper theatrical release because it was playing at our local Odeon.
Yeah. And why not make a comeback? You've already planned this event. It's all staged. Why not film it and double dip and make more money off of it? Yeah.
The one concert film I really want to see, which I haven't, is I Filmed That by the Beastie Boys.
No, I think there's a swear word. There's an expletive at the beginning of it, isn't it?
No, we got to keep our PG rating. But so the Beastie Boys did a concert and they gave out like 500 video cameras and just told people, just film stuff.
Yeah.
And then they handed in the all the tapes and cut together a concert film from these 500. I'm quite impressed that they got 500 cameras back. You think surely they would get about 20 back, but and this was pre the days when everybody could film 4K on their phone, I suppose.
Yeah.
But the idea of if the idea of a good concert film is that you feel like you've been to a concert, well, who better to film it than the people who have gone to the actual concert?
Precisely.
This is proper kind of POV concert concert experience.
Yeah, and diverse perspectives on the events. Yeah.
So that's the way that it should be filmed. Kind of now that artists can't make any music from pre-recorded material, you can't really make a living out of Spotify particularly, and you can't make a living from selling CDs anymore. So singers now have to sing for their supper and go on tour and actually appear in front of the audience. So maybe we should have like a whole bunch of concert movies coming up then. It should be like a resurgence.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, as I said, I think, and the streaming platform works perfectly for it. And there is a connection to the Elvis film again, in that Tom Parker kind of, he almost invented like the closed, I don't know, is that like closed circuit? What is that? What's the expression? It's like a concert that he beams out from one place to various parts of the world.
Oh, yeah, like a sort of a live simulcast or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you'd make money off that by like a pay-per-view structure. And I mean, during the pandemic, I'm surprised we didn't see more of that as well. I mean, you could sign on to someone's Facebook page and watch them perform with their cat in the living room or whatever, but I think I was surprised that we didn't see more of that. So I think you're right. Could be a new trend, and Netflix is ready for that. Again, they don't have to write new material. Someone's already putting the show on. You might as well film it and paste a couple interviews in and call it a film.
Right, it's decided. Get your ukulele. We're going to make a concert film. All you need to do is write some songs. How hard can it be?
It's not hard at all. It's
not hard at all.
Money for nothing and chicks for free, isn't it?